The treatment that you get from a narcissistic parent makes you believe, assume that you're worthless, that you are enough in no way, you do not deserve to be loved. It just breaks you down in a very complicated way. Basically, it never lets you to develop. Hi, I am Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional, and today's episode is going to be all about 5 things that you need to know if you were raised by a narcissistic father or mother. Before we get started, if you're watching this episode on YouTube, please make sure that you are subscribed by pressing the subscribe button and push the bell icon to stay updated with every latest episode. If you're listening to this on a podcast channel, make sure that you push that subscribe or follow button as well. Now let's get started. Number 1, you did not make them treat you the way they did. As children, when our parents treat us horribly, narcissistic parents, when they put us down, when they abandon us physically, emotionally or otherwise, when they abuse us, torture us, when they neglect us, what do? We do not blame them, because of course blaming your parent, accepting that you are with a monster, would ultimately mean a form of annihilation to your identity. It's almost like unacceptable. It's almost like an ego death that cannot be accepted or even perceived at the first place. So what do? Instead, you start blaming yourself. You unconsciously, of course, think that maybe there is something wrong with me, which is why I am being treated the way I am being treated. There must be something wrong with me because they cannot be wrong. So someone has to be, and it is me. I am unlovable. I am unworthy. Or I am stupid. Or all of the things that you can possibly think, and all of the things that they are telling you about yourself. Because their manipulation, their constant abuse is fueling the fire, and ultimately you develop a form of identity that is full of insecurities, that is full of distorted trauma-based beliefs, and these beliefs do not let you believe in yourself. They always make you think and feel that you are at fault in every single situation that you ever face in your life. At this point, you need to understand that you did not make them treat you the way they treated you. You did not cause this abuse to yourself. They treated you because they had their own stuff going on. They treated you because they chose to treat you that way. They treated you this way because they were projecting their own turmoil on you. Number 2, stop playing small. You aren't inherently bad as they told you, as you were forced to believe. As I said earlier in the point number 1, when you are treated horribly, what do? You start blaming yourself, and then you start playing small. You start keeping yourself away from the opportunities. You start keeping yourself away from meeting new potential healthy partners. You start minimizing your capabilities. Again, it's not your fault. You're not stupid or naive for doing that. It's just how you were raised to believe about yourself. It is how you were raised to feel about yourself. You have the potential to move mountains. And I'm not just saying it is because, these are good words to say. I'm saying it because there is the proof in your history. Your history speaks for it. Look at yourself. Look at your history. Look at the kind of trauma that you have survived. No matter how you did it, but you did. You got yourself to this point where you are at right now, and you don't get there just by being stupid or naive or resourceless. You get there by just using the best skills that you can ever use, that you have within you, to survive the kind of trauma, the drama, the turmoil that you have been through. So I invite you to go and basically step in on the journey of finding your true potential. I invite you to give yourself the permission to try to look inwards and truly realize, let yourself realize how wonderful of a human being you are, and how capable, how resourceful you are as a survivor of complex and chronic abuse. Number 3, you are allowed to cut them off without any guilt. I know that people say that they are your parents and it's your family, and family is everything and so on, but family isn't always blood, and family doesn't mean that it will be always healthy. And being a parent doesn't mean that you would be always healthy, wonderful and heavenly as being described either by the people or the culture. You need to understand that just because you got to this world through them doesn't mean that you owe them your life. They want you to believe so, but you don't owe them your life. You are a separate individual, even though they want you to believe that you are their extension and you do not have any separate individuality of your own. You have it and you just have to realize it. And it's completely okay, totally okay to cut your parents off. It's not a sin, it's not a crime, and you're not obliged to stay in touch with the source of your constant and continuous permanent trauma. And it's absolutely fine to say bye to those people even when they are blood related, because ultimately being blood related doesn't mean that they are your true family. Before we move to number 4 and 5, I am curious to know, what are you willing to give yourself permission for at this point? As an adult child of a narcissistic parent, what are you willing to do for yourself? What kind of freedom are you ready to give to yourself? Just drop that in the comments below and help other people to validate, to feel motivated, to feel inspired. Number 4, they control you through FOG: fear, obligation, and guilt. Fear that God is going to punish you if you do not obey your mother or father. Fear that you are going to end up in a miserable state, in a miserable condition if you cut ties with your family. Fear that you are never going to find peace with your own children, if you ever have any, if you disobey your parents and if you just take a stand for yourself and basically speak for yourself. Fear that they are going to abandon you, and that is the biggest fear, if you were ever to speak against them. And fear of abandonment is something that I deeply relate with personally. That is the root of separation anxiety, for those who have it. Fear of being abandoned and the fear of losing the parent. That is one of the biggest traps for a child of such a parent. Obligation, that you're obliged to worship me because I am the incarnated will of God, and I am the extension of God, and I am the vessel of God, and so on. Of course, I'm speaking in exaggerated terms, but you understand the idea, you understand the context that I'm trying to create here. Creating the sense of obligation that keeps you trapped and that makes you think, well, it's my parent, I am obliged to be there, I am obliged to just take on their bullshit and to respect them regardless. No, you are not. Of course, if you are a person who is compassionate, who want to be there for your parents, but that doesn't mean you will just keep taking in the crap that they keep putting into your vessel. You don't have to. You are not obliged to serve your abuser. You are completely okay with cutting them off, and these obligations are all fake. Because again, if you're a believer in God or higher power or whatever you may call it, it doesn't want you to be oppressed, no matter who the oppressor is. I know that personally, for me, God is a symbol of love and acceptance and understanding. And I know that God is not a tyrant who would want you to just take on the abuse, even after knowing that it is affecting you, it's destroying you, and it's erasing your identity. That is not how it works. Number 5 and the final one, you have to heal the complex trauma that you experienced as a child. Now you need to know that it's not like, well, everybody has the same kind of childhood, so probably it's normal. No, that's not the case. What you had is a complicated, unhealthy, dysfunctional childhood, and it traumatized you to your core. Not saying that you're broken and you need to be shifted to a mental hospital or something like that. That's not the case. It's quite opposite. You are resourceful. You have adapted quite well to the trauma, to the environment that you were raised in. Now, these adaptations are the extreme form of coping mechanisms that you see in your behavior, in your personality. Avoidance of the attachment, or insecure attachment, codependency, and other stuff that you know of. Now is the time to regulate these coping mechanisms and bring them back to balance so that you don't have to struggle and suffer in your relationships, intimate or otherwise. Because these adaptations probably at this point are not needed. It's like being a survivor of a war. In the war, in the battlefield, you need to be acutely aware of the sounds around you, the things around you, so that you can protect yourself and those who are with you. Now that you're out of the battlefield, you have left them, you're away from them, you don't have to have that sensory acuity, that kind of heightened awareness, because it's not needed in the environment. Utilizing the same and functioning through the same coping mechanisms and adaptations would make it difficult for you to fit in the environment that you are living in right now, assuming it's a healthy one. So you have to work on yourself. You have to bring the balance in your system so that you can complete the developmental process that you got stuck in back then. It's very important. You cannot assume that time will just, make you forget those memories. It's not even about memories. Trauma lives in the body more than it lives in the brain. So you have to work on that stuff, and you have to heal yourself at the deepest level possible. You have to be the parent that you never had. You have to have the compassion for yourself. You have to get the support that you never had back then. So that's it for today's episode. If you found this useful, please share it with other people, share it with your friends and those who you think might be in need of this kind of information. I'll talk with you very soon in the next one. Till then, let the healing begin.